The Three Gardeners. Once upon a time, there were 3 little gardeners. Every morning from spring until fall, they helped their mother tend the garden. They pulled weeds, watered the plants, and harvested flowers and produce. For as long as they could remember, this garden had always sustained their souls and bodies with beautiful flowers and nourishing food. One day in March, the time had come for each little gardener to have his own garden. They were given seeds and bulbs as well as a small plot of soil. Thrilled by their newfound freedom, they each did to their gardens as they liked. The first little gardener decided he would start his garden right away. After enthusiastically scattering his seeds and bulbs in his untilled soil, he amused himself with books and play. This little gardener promptly forgot about his garden until a few months later, when he began to wonder if he had even planted his garden at all. He only had one sprout, but it had been withered away after a late frost in April. The second little gardener was determined his garden would succeed. He waited a few weeks, then planted his seeds and bulbs. Eventually, his determination turned into obsession, and he spent all his time watching his seedlings, watering them, and tending to them. In June, he expected his plants to be flowering and luscious, but instead they were overwatered. His sprouts had been mistaken for weeds, and his other responsibilities had been abandoned. The third little gardener waited until the last frost, tilled his soil, then planted each seed and bulb, spacing them accordingly. Although impatient to see his garden grow, he gave it the time that was appropriate for it, watering or weeding only when needed. When worried his seeds wouldn't sprout or yield fruit, he asked his mother for advice. This gardener grew to love his new freedom, and he undertook his other daily tasks with the same love. In May, his plants were already flowering, and some even yielded fruit. This garden was by no means perfect, but it provided food for the family, and their house was filled with flowers from May until September. And so each little garden had grown. These gardeners learned, some better than others, how to use their license responsibly, and each one was rewarded with a garden that reflected the diligence and love they gave to it. For a desire for beauty or abundance is never wrong, but it must be accompanied by an understanding of true freedom and responsibility. The end.